today. I'm Brian Levin. I'm a product manager on the access point portfolio. And it's a very exciting time because we're launching a new access point. So the AP4800 is our newest access point. And before we go into that, I want to just talk a little bit about intent-based networking. Because, of course, here at Cisco Live, intent-based networking is everything. And intent-based networking is software. But in order to have the best intent-based networking, you have to have the best intent-based hardware as well. So here in Cisco, we pride ourselves in wireless access point hardware. So in order to build the best access point or hardware, what we do is we focus on key innovations here. So one of the things that we always do is high density is the focus of our access points. So for example, we're here at Cisco Live. Tim showed us 18,000 clients connected to DNA Assurance. If we look at the overall network, there's about 50,000 clients connected. Of those 50,000 clients, around 90 to 95% of them are connected at 5 gigahertz. So that's majority of your clients are 5 gigahertz focused. If you look at the overall wireless net or wireless access point, how it's traditionally built, you have a 2.4 radio and you have a 5 gigahertz radio. The 4800 and all of our access points are focused on having the density that you need for all of your users. So it's making sure that that radio can detect how people are using your network, that automatically switch between 2.4, 5 gigahertz or wireless security monitoring whenever your users come onto your network. So think of this as a 3800 with just more features included into it. In addition to density, which is the primary focus of deploying a wireless network, we're introducing a new feature called intelligent capture. So with intelligent capture, what we're doing is we're using intelligence from the access point to quickly debug and address issues that come into your network. So for example, there's 3 main issues that typically plague all wireless networks. One, it's onboarding problems. Clients take too long to onboard on the wireless network. And when I say onboarding, it's not bringing new devices into the network. I'm an employee here at Cisco. Every day when I walk into the Cisco building, I expect my client to connect within 1 second. If it doesn't, it's a problem, and I need to know why it's not connecting. In addition to onboarding, another key issue is roaming. So often, clients roaming is what brings down the network or makes the network performance poor. So a client should always connect to the nearest access point, ideally through standards-based KVR, but sometimes not. So when that doesn't happen correctly, that's what we focus on. And finally, sticky clients, where I connect to this access point here in this room, and I walk back to my hotel room, and I stay connected to this access point. So those are the 3 areas of focus, plus 240 other abnormalities that are all detected by DNA or by intelligent capture. So whenever one of those events triggers, the access point automatically detects it, does a full packet capture of all the management frames, and sends it to DNA. So now you have a lot more insight on why an issue happened. In addition to that, with our 4800, we have dedicated hardware, a 3rd radio that's focused on capturing packets all the time. So if, for example, my iPhone right here is having problems connecting, I'm in the middle of a presentation to you guys, so I'm not going to go call IT. I'm going to finish the presentation, I'm going to walk back to my hotel room, and then maybe 3 hours later, I'll call IT. Meanwhile, the issue has resolved itself, and then there's no way of really recreating it. So I go call IT, and they say, OK, I'll send the packet sniffer out to this conference room. 3 hours later, the problem is gone. Nothing that can be done. So what we've done is we've built in the ability to do real-time debugging on any client in the network using that 3rd radio. So as an IT administrator, you'll say, Brian's iPhone is having a problem. Let me see what's going on. Go in and you can see all of the applications that are going across my iPhone, whether it's my Jabber that's having a problem, whether it's any other application on my phone. You can see a complete profile of all those applications, and you can diagnose and debug the issue. And while all of this is happening, the whole reason why you buy the access point is for Wi-Fi coverage. So we have hardware built into your access point. So when this is happening, you still have the best overall performance from your access points. And of course, coverage and capacity is key. And that's what we focus on here. So if we look at the 4800, it's the world's smartest access point. The reason why we call it the world's smartest is because it provides data to make DNA smarter. So with 4 radios built into it, it's got 3 Wi-Fi radios. It's got your flexible radio that does 2.45 gigahertz or wireless security monitoring dynamically. It has a 5 gigahertz radio. It's dedicated for 5 gigahertz. Then it has a flexible intelligent capture radio or analytics radio that radio can do 2, 4, or 5 gigahertz on the fly. Its first functionality is doing intelligent capture. So it would see any abnormalities across the network, capture packets, report back to DNA. But while it's doing this, it has a built-in hyperlocation antenna array, which does angle of arrival of all of the clients on the network. So if I have a wireless issue here, you see that I'm having the wireless issue, you know what the wireless issue is, and you can place me within 3 meters of accuracy of the exact issue that's happening.
So 3 meters with no walls?
So it's 3 meters median, and so there's a deployment guide associated with it, but the median accuracy is 3 meters. And that's using the Cisco hyperlocation technology.
Okay.
Does that require CMX?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
CMX does the location accuracy crunching, and then DNA Assurance is where it's displayed in terms of the issues and the.
Do you also need operational insights on top of that?
So operational insights is not required, but it's another enhancement that if you want to track assets throughout the network, operational insights would be what you would use.
So you can't get that from the normal CMX API anymore?
Through the normal CMX API, there are ways to track clients, to set rules, to notify you when BLE device is outside of a certain area, clients outside of a certain area. But this is just a cloud-based enhancement that adds a lot more functionality on top of it. It's a new product, cloud-based platform that we launched back at Cisco Live in Cisco Live Barcelona in January. Okay. It's called Operational Insights. Yeah, so in addition to doing hyperlocation where it shows within 3 meters of accuracy any device that's on your network, we also had this radio that does 24/7 security monitoring. So it scans all channels all the time to see any kind of Wi-Fi, non-Wi-Fi interference using clean air, whips or rogue attack on your network, or anything else that comes into your network. One of the other cool things that we've really built into this is Clean Air has always supported Spectrum Expert, where you can do a full packet capture or a full spectrum capture of the RF spectrum. So we now allow this to feed into DNA. So you can see your kind of Spectrum Expert-like views into DNA.
So you brought up Spectrum Expert. That's something, a tool that's really not seen an update in a very, very long time. So really, I guess the idea is you're just going to push that to DNA, and Spectrum Expert's pretty much dead as a tool. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, Spectrum Expert was last supported on Windows. Mm-hmm. I think it was Windows XP. So it's been a tool that's been kind of hanging in for a long time. And so DNA is where it's landing and where it's going to be used going forward in terms of.
So what about for the wireless engineers that have to go in and do surveys, that type of thing? That's a really useful tool, but it's not like we can really stand up DNA Center just to do a survey. What's the plan there, or is it just simply a matter of we should be using other tools and not Cisco?
So in terms of that use case, we still partner with companies such as MetaGeek, which has a tool that would take the stream directly from the access point. And then you can.
So that is your answer, and that's a completely.
Yes.
I use MetaGeek, so that's a completely acceptable answer. But that's
so
the answer. Okay.
So for the network administrator that has DNA installed and wants to see any aspect of their network anytime, you use DNA.
So let's go to another case where he's using it in a one-off survey situation. What about people that are using your 4800s without DNA Center? Can they see it? Or you need DNA Center to get that spectrum data like you're talking about?
No, it's any Clean Air enabled AP, whether it's a 2800, 3000, 4800, but the 4800 with this dedicated radio can do this without impacting either two radios.
So how do you see this data without DNA Center?
Well, that's the MetaGeek.
In an actual environment, because we're talking one AP with the survey, that's fine. I get that.
Well, you can still do that with MetaGeek.
So I'm going to walk around individually with MetaGeek?
No, what you do is you connect to, there's an IP address of the AP, and then there's a key.
Okay.
So you put the IP of the.
And you can have multiple APs at one time?
Or you do one AP at a time.
Okay.
And so
that's where I was getting at, is it's still one AP at a time. So.
Yeah, it's just because you're seeing problems. Each AP has a coverage area. You see a problem in this room, you'll go to the AP in this room. And then DNA makes it more automatic because it's all in one central spot.
Yeah.
And so Spectrum Expert was the same way, so it's,
Yeah.
Just wanting to see if there was a plan outside of that.
Yeah, so as I go more into the access point, what we've done is we've built a whole bunch of radios into a single access point. So I have a glass cover, plastic cover actually, here. So I'm gonna pass this around, and the slide's bigger so I can talk about it easier, but I'll pass this around for you guys. And so in the middle, we have a BLE radio. And the BLE antenna is 1 by 1. Around the outside, we have 16 radiating elements, and this is our hyperlocation antenna array. So if you remember in 3700, it was 32. So we shrunk it down from 32 to 16. And it still provides the same level of accuracy, it's just we've got better and better with that technology. Then if we look at the corners, we have our dual band flexible radios. And so those are capable of 2, 4, and 5 gigahertz. And then if we go a little bit further out, we have our 5 gigahertz only radios. And there's 4 of those. And one of the things that's interesting about this board is it's called the Hepburn board, and that's the internal name that we gave to it from engineering. And so if you look at the picture right there, there's a little silkscreen silhouette of Audrey Hepburn. So as it goes around, look closely at that.
I'm Taranpreet, I go by TP. I'm the product manager for DNA Wireless Assurance. Intelligent capture is something that we have built ground up for access point 4800. And really the simple way to think about it, if you want to troubleshoot any wireless client anywhere in your network, you do not require any human intervention anymore. So gone are those days when you actually had to send those sniffers on site trying to recreate or replicate transient wireless issues like client onboarding, client roaming, sticky client, and many others. With intelligent capture, we have built an intelligence within access point 4800 that allows us to track the onboarding and roaming state of any client anywhere in your network pervasively. So what we actually do is we track the onboarding state of a client on a real-time basis, and as and when there is a client onboarding or roaming failure happening, we acknowledge that failure from the controller and send across that intelligence to the access point. The access point actually has a built-in ring buffer or a link buffer mechanism that's kind of monitoring the packet forensics of every client at all the times. And whenever it receives that trigger from the controller, it actually then initiates a packet capture both before, on, and after the failure has happened for a duration of time, and send across that packet forensics to the DNA Assurance and Analytics platform. And that's where the visualization of packet capture along with the client onboarding failure happens. The second way to think about intelligent capture is that it's not only about the intelligent packet capture. It's literally capturing the state of your entire Wi-Fi network on a real-time basis. So with access point 4800, we have actually built a direct telemetry path between the access point and the DNA center platform. So we've actually built out a gRPC tunnel, which is based on HTTPS between the access point and the DNA Assurance platform, which is programmable and bidirectional. So if any of your customers or any wireless troubleshooter wants to connect to any access point in the network, he can do it right now and get all the real-time RF spectrum Wi-Fi matrix from the access point to the DNA Center Assurance and can troubleshoot any VIP client anywhere in the network. The third key aspect of intelligent capture, going back to the fact that it can capture the state of your entire network, is the location of the client. Because we are bringing in CMX into the whole DNA Center Assurance value proposition, we can now, with frequent RSSI updates going from the access point to the CMX engine, we can also calculate the location triangulation of a client on a real-time basis. So if you know the status today, typically the CMX location gets updated every 8 to 10 seconds. With intelligent capture's real-time analytics and telemetry, you would actually get the location update also coming in every 2 to 3 seconds. And to top it all, Brian mentioned about a dedicated third radio for analytics and assurance. This radio actually kills it. It provides us the capability to get the full packet captures of any client in the network with the data payloads. And these data payloads are actually decrypted over the air through the radio and provided to DNA Center Assurance. So if you now think about it, the decrypted data payload can actually allow you to do Wi-Fi app analytics which you could not do with the encrypted packet capture. So you can now figure out if there is a problem with a client facing poor application experience with a WebEx or a Skype. You can isolate that problem by taking this full packet capture, decrypt it over the air, and provide that to DNS Center Assurance, where you can actually start monitoring application experience metrics like packet loss, latency, delay, and you can also monitor the QoS and DHCP marking of any of your business relevant applications. So really giving you the capability of going and specifically troubleshooting the application experience within the Wi-Fi network. With few customers and with TAC, we have actually gone out and validated that how much time it typically takes for you to troubleshoot such issues where you need to recreate problems, capture packets. And the verdict that we have got is that typically takes about 2 to 3 days for you to really understand the issue by collecting the right packets and the logs. And with DNS Center Assurance and intelligent packet capture on 4800, we can actually solve these issues in few seconds. So that really is the power of Access Point 4800 with intelligent capture and DNA assurance. Now, I said a lot. Let's actually look at some demo on the real product. It's a live demo, so I hope everything works fine here. Awesome. So pretty familiar screen. If you have seen DNA Assurance, Tim was showing some demos about assurance as well. So very familiar. We go here, we go into a client 360. We're talking about wireless client troubleshooting. So we go here, we have the time travel, which provides me the client health over the last 14 days. We are looking at intelligent capture. It's an on-demand capability. I click here, and I go to the screen, which takes me specifically to that client which I clicked on. And this is where the magic begins. On the left side, you see this client onboarding state machine of a client called Minsei, and it's providing me the state on a real-time basis of how this client is behaving on my network. And as you can see, at around 2:13, this client was having some issues with authentication. Now, that could be because of the RF network of the site he's roaming in. It could be because of the client driver. So we really need to understand and isolate whether it's a Wi-Fi network issue or it's actually an issue on the client side. And this is where intelligent capture kicks in. The first thing you can do is you go here and you click on this bad event or negative event. It gives you the capability to download the packet capture. So if you click here, you can get a PCAP file. If you guys are comfortable using Wireshark, you can put this into Wireshark and do detailed debug analysis. But if you just want to know what's happening with the client at this stage, there is also a packet analyzer built on the DNS Center Assurance. And what it does is it provides you the state of the client onboarding with an interpacket gap and RSSI analysis. So if you look at this graph, the red bar actually indicates that this is where this authentication failure is happening. And the fact that it's pointing downwards kind of makes me believe that the issue seems to be on the client side. The authentication handshake is going towards the client, but the client doesn't seem to be acknowledging it. Now, this is extremely powerful if a network troubleshooter or an administrator wants to have a conversation for a type of client with the vendor. Saying that, hey, I have the packet capture. I also see that there's something happening on the client side. The network looks fine. Do you want to investigate what is happening with your client? The second thing that you can also do is you can monitor the RF state of the network on a real-time basis. So if you look at this heat map is like following a client. So as I'm moving across the floor, I'm actually using the RSSI coverage of the client in case of Apple iOS analytics. And in case of non-Apple clients, I'm using the RSSI that I'm getting from the access points and delivering this client heat map-like view. So this is where a Wi-Fi network a Wi-Fi engineer can start and troubleshoot and say, you know what? There is actually there is no RF issue here because there's no coverage hole that I can see when I'm trying to roam around. So it seems like I need to go and investigate the client driver. And this is the power of the intelligent packet capture along with the real-time telemetry that we are getting from the Access Point 4800.
Now, that's a rolling buffer?
So excellent question. So as you're roaming around, you're moving from one access point to another access point. Because DNA Center Assurance is all about consuming analytics, that's where we are doing the packet stitching as well. So we're getting a packet from access point 1, then you're moving to access point 2. We are closely monitoring the timestamps, and we're stitching those packets on the DNA Center Assurance. So all you know, these could actually be several packets as you're moving across different access points. And that you can closely correlate with what's happening on the heat map. So if you go and you play this button, if the client is actually a moving client, it's going to move here, and this guy is going to get updated across different access points.
So will that show you, in this view, I mean, we can download the full packet capture. Does that have radio tap headers in it?
Yes, yes.
So, and in this view here, will we be able to see what band, what channel, or do we have to download the full pack?
So the packet capture would obviously provide it. In the next version of Intelligent Capture itself, when we're actually going to FCS this product in July, we will also have a list of RF matrix built into this view itself. So when you want to go and you look at different bands, different channels, and you want to monitor RSSI, SNR, channel utilization, all that would be made available here.
Okay, so we can do a full roaming analysis for
Absolutely. That's the point here. The point here is to help you isolate problems for faster troubleshooting.
Okay.
Another screen that I really wanted to show was the full packet capture. So if you see here, you can also do on-demand full packet capture or using the dedicated third radio. This packet capture not only contains the radio headers and the Ethernet frames, but it also contains the data payloads. And these data payloads are decrypted over the air. So when DNA Center Assurance receives this packet, it has the ability to open up the packet and analyze what's there in the packet. So it can generate application performance analytics like packet loss, latency, and jitter for only the Wi-Fi part of the network. So if you're a Wi-Fi engineer and you're responsible for ensuring that you're providing the right experience to the end client, and you get an escalation that, you know what, I'm facing regular WebEx or Skype issues, you can start with this kind of a troubleshooting view and isolate the problem of the Wi-Fi network. Another thing that I wanted to talk about from an access point 4800 perspective is the fact that we can convert the whole access point into a sensor mode as well. Now, we obviously have this another form factor called 1800S Aironet Active Sensor, which is a dedicated sensor that you can use for simulating client experience. But if a customer is not open to investing in a new product or a dedicated product only for a sensor, then you can also use the access point 4800 and turn the entire access point into a sensor mode. And you can generate interesting metrics like client onboarding test analysis, network services like DNS, Radius, DHCP, application experience analysis for media streaming applications using IPSLA built in within the sensor. You can also do app connectivity, FTP. All those test analysis can be shown here, and you can store this data for up to 14 days.
Can we tell it not only which SSID, but which band or which
absolutely.
SSID to check?
Absolutely, absolutely. In future, we are adding a couple of more use cases to this sensor form factor where you can actually do passive and active RF scanning. So you can do everything that I just showed you on the intelligent capture from an access point perspective for a simulated client as well by putting this guy very close to where your clients are. And this can actually give you a very close to a simulated client perspective because this is very close to where we all are. You can put it on a desk, or you can mount it on a wall, or you can actually keep it on a moving desk and move it around, because the beauty is this guy is powered through USB. It can be powered through PoE or through the AC power. So you can use it through different means depending on your use case. And the good thing with DNA Center Assurance is we now have a dedicated sensor dashboard. So you can imagine the amount of analytics and reporting your customers can do with this kind of a dedicated view. Really a very powerful toolkit for SLA-based monitoring.